Again, like Baomer to all. I know it's very hard to say that tonight with the news of what's going on in Eretz Yisrael, what happened in Eretz Yisrael a few hours ago, and how Klal Yisrael is in a state of shock. And many people canceled their bonfires, and Abaviv tonight canceled their Tish and saying Tehillim for the people that were injured in this terrible, terrible tragedy. So hopefully this short shir, 5-7 minutes, will give chizuk to the families and should be a chus for shlema for all people injured in tonight's accident, in tonight's tragedy. What's very looked over, unlike Baomer, is a very important message that I want to bring out. We know there's two main personalities that we deal with, unlike Baomer. One is obviously Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, because that's the song. Disclaimer, the word is Eloiki, but they made it rhyme with Rav Shimon Bar Yochai. Eloiki means a godly person. We're not saying, obviously, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai is our God. He's not. He's one of our Tanoim, but he's not our God. So make that very clear. But this is the personality we're dealing with, the song, and then we know the last song is Amar Rabbi Akiva, Ashreichem Yisrael. Rabbi Akiva is also a big personality that we deal with, unlike Baomer. So I want to focus a little bit on Rabbi Akiva, a little less of the spotlight. Rabbi Akiva, as we know from the Gemara in Ksubis on Samach Beis Amar Beis, was a nothing. I'm going to recap because, like I said, we all know the story. He came from nothing. His wife agreed to marry him if he goes to learn in yeshiva. For 24 years, he is away in yeshiva, becoming the biggest, the most amazing Talmid Chacham, the Gadol Hadar, amasses 24,000 of Klal Yisrael's elite as Talmidim. The biggest yeshiva probably in history, or one of them at least. And Rabbi Akiva, after 24 years, 24,000 Talmidim, he's the successful Rosh Yeshiva, and let him sit and enjoy what he built. And obviously we know that's not the case from the Gemara in Yevamis, Daf Samach Beis Amar Beis, that we have a din of Avelis. Till now we've been observing Avelis, we've been observing not shaving. I didn't get a chance to get a haircut. Obviously tonight would be the first night according to some Paiskim. And we have a few other things. We don't listen to music, we don't get married. According to the Ramah, he says the reason why we stop at this point is because Sha'az Paskul Milamas, that the Talmidim of Klal Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. The question seems very simple. Well, they all died out, so why are we celebrating now that they stopped dying? There was no more left to die. So the celebration tonight is not about the fact that they stopped dying. It's about what happened next. Rabbi Akiva, no one would have blamed him if he wanted to retire and just sit and learn. No one would have blamed him if he did not want to try again. His life's work came crumbling within 33 days, 930 levayas a day. Not one person would have blamed him. But what did Rabbi Akiva do? He gets together 5 more Talmidim, and he starts to build his yeshiva anew. And most of the Torah, or for all the Torah that we have today, are from those 5 Talmidim. The celebration, why we're bringing Rabbi Akiva, is because he did not give up. He said, no, we're going to start again. Which is a very, very powerful lesson. And obviously, like we said before, Rav Shimon Bar Yochai as well. Rav Shimon Bar Yochai, his entire life was trying to bring down Sisrei Torah. He was trying to bring down the Zohar. And even on his deathbed, he didn't give up. And he was able to do it on his deathbed. And his yard site is tonight on Lag Baomer. Most people, I would assume, if they knew they were dying, and I'm assuming Rav Shimon Bar Yochai did, he would want to take the time to do vidui, tshuva, whatever it is. But Rav Shimon Bar Yochai said, no. I'm going to give even my last moments on earth to Klal Yisrael. There's a story by Meir Shapiro. Meir Shapiro was the younger brother, not Meir Shapiro, Rabbi Shimon Schwab had a younger brother, Meir Schwab, who lived in Lakewood. They grew up together. Obviously, Rabbi Shimon, we know, went to the Chavetz Chaim many, many times. And one of the times he visited the Chavetz Chaim before they moved to America, obviously, he brought his little brother, Meir Schwab. And the Rebbetzin says, Chavetz Chaim is in the middle of learning, he'll be out in a minute. Okay, they sit outside and they wait. And the Chavetz Chaim opens the door and says, come in, whatever it is. And little Mayor Schwab asked the Chavetz Chaim, who was just in there? Who was just in there with you? Chavetz Chaim says, I didn't see anyone. Reb Shimon, did you see anyone? And I said, no. And he says, you better watch your little brother, because he's a little young. He's a little young to be seeing Eliyahu and Navi. A bunch of years later, Mayor Schwab was living in Lakewood. There was a bacher who wanted to know whether or not he should leave his yeshiva. He needed an eitzah, a dracha, whatever it is. And Mayor Schwab was a simple yid at the time. Obviously not simple, but he was sitting, living in Lakewood, living his life. And this bacher decided, I'm going to go ask Mayor Schwab whether or not I should leave my yeshiva, whatever the eitzah was that he wanted. He calls Mayor Schwab on a Thursday morning. Mayor answers, says, I would like to meet with the Rav. Can I make an appointment to discuss something with the Rav? He says, sure. I'm available on Sunday, but up until 7 o'clock. I'm not available after 7 o'clock. Thank you very much. That Shabbos, this guy is talking to, that Shabbos, this guy is talking to his friend. And he says, I'm not sure whether I'm leaving yeshiva this month. I made an appointment to meet with Rameir Schwab to discuss it with him. His friend says, why are you bothering his old man? Don't bother him. There's plenty of other Abayim, plenty of other Abanim. Go ask them. He says, you know what, you're right. He calls Rameir Schwab Sunday morning and he says, I don't want to waste the Rav's time. I feel bad. I'm going to go ask somebody else. Thank you for the offer. He says, okay. Rameir Schwab says, that's no problem. That's your choice. But if you still want to talk to me, I'll be available today until 7 o'clock. The guy doesn't think much of it at the time. The next morning he comes into yeshiva and he sees a sign on the door that says Rameir Schwab was nifter last night at 7 o'clock. Now, whether or not, if you could see Eliyahu Navi, then I'm assuming you'll be able to figure out when you're going to die. Chances are. But the fact that Rameir was willing to give up his last moments on earth for somebody else is what inspires me out of this story. And that's the lesson we take from Rabbi Akiva. And that's the lesson we take from Shimon Bar Yochai. Ma mikveh mitaris atameim, afa kodesh baruch hu mitaris Yisrael. What's the connection? Just like a mikveh makes holy the people that are tamei, so too does Hashem mitar Yisrael. We know Tumah comes in a state of lack of kedusha becomes Tumah. And the way to get rid of that, the way to become tar again, is going to a mikvah. What is a mikvah? The Maral and others explain a mikvah is a joining together between the higher waters, the upper waters, and the lower waters. They join together to go back to what the original, before the Yikavu Amayim, the original point of Shleimus, and the original point of when the world was in a state of Kedusha. And a mikvah represents that union of two parts coming together to create Kedusha. And that's why a mikvah has the power to purify us. So to HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yisrael, when we connect and not give up on our relationship, sometimes we think we did things wrong. I don't know if we could connect to Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mitaris Yisrael. Even Hashem can mitar Klal Yisrael. Rabbi Arla Belzer used to say, Lefnei mi ata mitarim, umi mitar eschem. Before, in front of me, you become tar, umi mitar eschem. And I'm sorry, who is going to be mitar you and who's going to be mitar? He said a very powerful word. Mi is Gematria 50. Lifnei mi, before 50, meaning the days of Sira, atim mitarim. You work yourself becoming tar, time to join back together. And then by the Maimon of Kabbalah Satira, umi mitar eschem. And the day of 50, the day of Kabbalah Satira, will be mitar you memela. So on this Baomer, don't give up on yourselves. Don't give up on those around you. And try to keep the message of Baomer, of a day of not giving up. Find something that you're struggling with that you decided, I'm never going to overcome, and overcome it. Guys, have a good luck, Baomer, Mitzvah Hashem.